Good evening, rolling out. This is your host, Crystal Jordan with Reality Check, and I am so excited about tonight's conversation. I have two of my personal sheroes. They are two of the most prolific voices in African American women right now. You are going to not need an introduction to these ladies. Jemele Hill and Cari Champion are here to talk about their show, which actually premieres tonight on Vice. It's called Stick to Sports. Please help me welcome Jemele Hill.
Hey.
Hey, and it looks like, well, that's Adam. Looks like Cari's going to join us in a minute. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Welcome to Rolling Out's Reality Check.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I guess the first thing is this show looks like a lot of fun. Like it looks like we know you for being someone that talks and is, tells it like it is. But this show actually looks like two girlfriends that are just having fun and sharing opinions. So let me add Cari into the stream. Hi, Cari. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great.
What am I doing here? Here we go, kids.
Yeah. All right. There we go. Thank you for joining Rolling Out's Reality Check. I was just saying that the show looks like so much fun. It looks like girlfriends just having fun. And I don't know that we've really been able to see you guys both just, that other side of you. I read a couple of articles where you said this show was going to offer the opportunity to show different sides of your personality. So do you think that people are going to get a bigger chance to kind of know a little bit more about you besides the just tell it like it is, get in people's face when they need to be corrected?
I think that's one thing that I think has been such a misnomer. I would say about me in particular. I think on some level, it's like people will be making a number of discoveries. One, they will find out I actually do have a sense of humor, and a great one, I'd like to add, right? Because I think because of the seriousness of the subject, which I often ask to comment on, that people think that I'm just with my fist in the air all day long.
Yeah.
And it's not really me. I'm pretty laid back. I'm pretty, goofy and silly. I like to have fun. I like to laugh. And so people will get to see that side of me. The funny thing is, one of the questions we've been.
See, she was about to say something bad about me. That's why they stopped. I'm glad her IV is not working. Excuse me, her Wi-Fi isn't working because she was going to say something mean. And we only want pleasantness in the world. She's going to be like, what people don't know is that Cari is sassy. But I think anybody who meets me after 2 seconds knows
that. What can you tell us about, I'll ask her this question also. What do you think that people don't know that you know about Jemele that you think people don't know about her?
I think people, and then again, this is up close. I think on the outside looking in, I feel like everyone likes her. I think when we walk in a room, when we're at work, I think people genuinely are a fan of hers and they embrace her. I think she's harder on herself than she realizes. Yeah. In fact, I know people like her. I feel if there was a comparison, they definitely are more, she'll probably join us in again, more aligned with her than with me, simply because of what I look like and how I present. You know what I mean? And she's much more approachable. And so, or minds, but they'll realize that on this show, and Jemele will tell you, I'm just as goofy and silly. And I think they're going to be shocked by the fact that I do have a take on other things outside of sports, because I became known in terms of prominence in sports, but I was a local news reporter for many years and I covered everything, So I think it's interesting that everyone will get an opportunity to see us just in our true forms, our personalities, the way we think. We'll have a lot of fun. We'll laugh. Like that'll be the key of the show.
Yeah, I think people are going to be excited. I mean, I'm excited about it. I've followed both you guys' careers for so long. The title of the show is a little bit ironic with it being Stick to Sports. Yeah. And realizing that that's something that neither of you guys really did, wholeheartedly. Yeah. Do you think there's ever a time when an influencer or talent should stick to sports or just stick to singing or just stick to acting? Or do you think there comes a time when everyone has like a social responsibility to speak up for something that they feel is right or wrong?
I think that's a personal decision. I will say, if you are marginalized in America, Black in America, a minority in America, you have had an experience and you have had a consistent experience that forces you to be able to become involuntarily an expert on things that people don't necessarily want to talk about, on being treated differently, not being respected. being underpaid. I'm thinking of all the things, sexist environment, all the things that we take on normally. The problem is that in America, which is why we are at this point today, we've been socialized all the wrong ways. Women have been taught, especially working in a man's world, to be okay with them being misogynistic and having inappropriate behavior. And then it is our responsibility to let them down easy.
And you may have lost.
What happened?
Okay, you froze up for a second.
Oh no! I was just no. I was like, I'm here. I'm moving. Is Jemele gone? Let me text her. Did she move back or no?
She has not come back yet.
Hurry! Let me just see. Hurry! She's probably lost her Wi-Fi. She didn't pay her.
These virtual conversations. You guys are lucky to actually have guests in the studio.
Well, you know what? We have it virtually too. So when you watch, you'll see that some of our guests are, they're on their Zoom calls with us, and sometimes it stops and it breaks up. That's the way of the world right now. That's how TV is going to be until we can, get people back in television. But I think that she said her computer just had a absolute meltdown, and she'll be here in just a second.
Okay, we'll definitely wait on her.
Yeah, no. Our show, we had a few technical hiccups as well, because it's just the way we're doing TV is weird now, right? Or how do you feel about that?
It is weird. I think even watching morning television, it feels a little detached. But I think the fact that we're all in it together makes it a little bit more digestible. I love the fact that you guys are talking about so many different topics, because for a lot of times we see you guys, especially Jemele, take on really heavy things, but this gives you guys an opportunity to talk about entertainment and just, lighthearted things. So I'm going
to say that because I feel like she's so goofy. And this is why it's so beautiful to see how people perceive her. Yes, she will interview in a second, but then she'll be like, did you watch Love After Lockup, Cari? And I'm like, yeah, what episode? That's the interaction. So I am interested in seeing how everyone views her after this, because that's actually really interesting to me. How she takes on such serious topics, but you wouldn't know she watching Love After Lockup.
Okay.
Wait, is my Wi-Fi out too?
Well, it did a little tiny glitch, but you're back. It was just frozen for a second.
Do you think it's your connection or is it ours? We're doing it wrong.
I'm not sure. You know what? I'm not sure. And I guess there won't be a way to see it until
it's all said and done.
There we are. All right. So we got Jemele back.
Sorry about that. My computer just said, you know what? I quit. I was like, what? Just went totally black.
I'm sure you guys have been doing interviews all day leading up to tonight's premiere. I asked Cari, do you think there's ever a time when talent should just stick to sports or just stick to singing or stick to acting? Or do you think that everybody has a civil responsibility when they see things going really wrong and there's, the country is just in a tailspin, kind of like we are now? Do you think that everyone of influence has a responsibility to speak out? Or do you think that, some people, it's okay if they choose to just stick to what they are known for?
I think it just depends on the person. As we have seen, there are some people you don't really want speaking up, that you're just like, you know what, it would have been better off if you were quiet. So you have that part of it, but I think, you have to understand what happens or what comes with when you decide to make your voice heard. Mm-hmm. In the public space, and especially on your own personal, feeds and own personal, time, I think that people have to stop expecting the person who delivers them news at 6 p.m. or the athlete that entertains them or the person that sings their favorite song. They have to stop thinking of those people purely just in the scope that they're their entertainment.
Yeah.
And they need to understand that, one, these people, all of us pay taxes. You pay taxes, you got a right to say what you want to about your own government. That's just what it is. And to expect people to be able to shut on and off parts of themselves just to make somebody else feel comfortable is something about that just doesn't really feel right. I always think people should be led in the ways that are natural and organic. If you feel like your best contribution is through works, then let that be your contribution. But if you know that you can shoulder the responsibility that comes with being a voice, then be a voice. As long as it's something that's, natural and organic and something that frankly you're passionate and informed about. That's the other key thing, is that you can't be out here loud and wrong, you know.
Right.
But they are though. But that's okay. I mean, we count them too when they loud and wrong. When they step out of the stick to sports box and remain loud and wrong.
Yeah, but this idea that that people should have to compartmentalize parts of themselves just to make other people comfortable is just something none of us should really be comfortable with. But people have to also know that, you know, just even when we were at ESPN, like Cari and I may have been passionate about certain issues that impacted our community or that we felt like we needed to speak out about. But it wasn't like when you turned into Cari on Sports Center, she'd be like, forget about how many points LeBron James had last night. Let's talk about immigration. Like that never happened, you know. And the people that wanted to disingenuously bring up the argument about sticking to sports, they acted like they were being force-fed these things all the time, when the majority of time we talked about these issues were within the context of the news. Colin Kaepernick is one of the biggest stories of this generation. We would be irresponsible if we didn't talk about Colin Kaepernick as journalists, as people who were on a sports platform. At no time were they turning into there and are tuning into ESPN and somebody decided they wanted to break down Medicare for all. That didn't happen. So it's like, you know, I think a lot of times
I did that once. Remember
you did that once. I mean, I thought I heard you talk about the new tax laws in 2019, but I didn't. The people that often cry about the stick to sports are people who are just making that complaint because what's being said is something they disagree with. It's not even a real complaint, because there are tons of examples, it happens all the time, of athletes who do not stick to sports. And if it's about cancer or domestic violence or anything like that, nobody has anything to say. It's funny how the only time people complain are when we talk about issues of systemic racism, misogyny, sexism, things that make you have to reflect and look at yourself. It's funny how that happens, right? And so usually I consider those complaints to be very baseless in terms of the stick to sports crowd.
I like that. Well, I listened to you guys this morning on the Breakfast Club. And
what you think? Tell me your first shocking thing.
Well, it wasn't shocking, but I did like the piece about where you guys talked about the relationship at ESPN, and Jemele, you acknowledged that Skip Bayless had been someone that had, you know, been good to you in your career, but yet it's still the things that he was at a certain point, it no longer, that relationship didn't serve you in the same way. And I thought that was interesting, because a lot of times we feel like if someone has helped us get someplace, especially when it comes to a racial issue, you know, if we're the first African-American here, it's almost like just be happy and be there and don't, you know, just stay even when things aren't necessarily fair. And I love the fact that you acknowledge that.
Why do we feel that way?
I don't know. That's what I wanted to ask you guys. Do you think that even now, I feel like that's happening with the presidential debate? I think people are saying, oh, well, we know that we have to vote this way, so let's don't ask questions. So I wanted to ask you guys, do you think that we can still hold people accountable, even if we do support them? Is that, you know, because there's a whole conversation of, well, don't question, don't ask. It either has to be all yes or all no. Do you think that opinions are still necessary, or do you think the agenda of the overall good needs to be like, okay, we don't even need to question this at this time?
I think, Jay, I'll say this quickly. I want to say something just for clarification for Skip Bayless, and Jay, you can speak on your own behalf. Let's be clear that Skip, in his own complicated way, is a good person when he wants to be for whatever reasons. Jay wouldn't disagree with that. He was very generous, and he shared his platform with a lot of people. I think that he was the reason why Stephen A. became so famous. I think he's the reason why Shannon Sharpe is as famous, in a sense that he already has the following, and he's taken others who didn't have a following and put them in a position to react to him and win off him. You know, I mean, I've seen it over and over again, and he likes Jemele. I'm sure he does. But liking someone and doing business with someone is two different things, right? I can really like you, but if it starts to mess with my money, then I don't know if I want to deal with you.
Right.
Or if I feel threatened by your success, I may not be able to embrace you. That's what we were discussing. Jemele was genuinely, like we talked about, like just being a better person. We're just trying to be good people. And that does fall in line with what we do. And that's why we're journalists. Some people don't have the same code of ethics. Everyone has different moral responsibilities. So as a result, I found myself working with two people that I would like to say are not necessarily bad people, but I think they had one goal in mind, and whoever got in the way was in the way.
Right.
And that be successful and win at all cost. I do find it difficult when you talk about criticizing other people. I don't think it's a criticism. I think it's unfortunate that people feel that way, and that women are disposable in this business, and that people can talk to us anyway, and that when we bark, Jay, when I speak up, it's no problem.
Yeah.
Anytime I've ever, flexed on anybody, it's like, how dare you? Well, I waited 11 years to finally say something.
Right.
I waited forever to actually come at you. Now I'm wrong because I came at you and told you what was wrong. And so I have a hard time criticizing Black men that I know in a public eye. That's
okay.
I think it's unfortunate because sometimes they don't have a problem criticizing us. And I would like the law of reciprocity to exist there. We have all worked together who have made our lives not easy.
Yeah.
But we don't go there because it's a code. It's just such a code that we as Black women, because we carry the entire universe on our shoulders, we honor that code. But whenever we break ranks, it's the end of the world. Cari said Kevin Durant didn't have enough heart and she wouldn't start him on her team. There were think pieces written about me. I was considered.
Dang, I forgot about that one. You should see it.
I was trashed. I was told I was.
Yeah, you were.
Even at one point wanted me to apologize. Now, would they have ever made Stephen A. apologize?
Oh my God.
He made Skip Bayless apologize for.
I mean, he threatened to fight Kevin Durant on TV. I mean, it's like what?
So what we're learning is that as we step into our power as Black women, there are some things that have to be exposed. And if we have to turn over some rocks and expose some names in the process, so be it. But you can't continue to be a person who is stepping into their power without revealing the truth and refusing to accept what is status quo.
Yeah, I mean, look, it boils down to this. Just to, I guess, put a bow on this whole Skip Bayless thing is that I mean, Cari is right. Like Skip is a very hard worker. And it's funny because the question you're always asked about him is he serious? Is he really that way? Like, no, they don't understand. He's even more intense than you think he is. Okay. And so for him, yeah, it's a job, but it is his life. And so because he pours so much into that, he's one of these people who can't shut it off.
Yeah.
And as a result, and I think Stephen A. is very similar. Like they are. That's why I think what makes their television chemistry so good is that they're different, but they're similar in the ways that need to be the foundational element of the show. And bottom line is, like, I didn't like the way they were treating her, and I
didn't either.
Yeah, I mean, privately, Cari had these conversations behind closed doors many times, and nothing was being done. Right, exactly. I mean, nothing was being done, and when this particular incident that kind of got us all talking about this, when that exploded in their face, to me, I was just like, well, this is why you need to make Cari more of an equity partner. I get it. You guys are the superstars of the show. She gets that too. They understand. We understand that, but that doesn't mean that there's no room for her to be an equitable partner in this show. And seeing that time and again, it was like, all right, hold up. And, you guys need to be better. And I didn't necessarily just call out, Skip about it. But Skip was the one that responded. And he was the one that decided that he needed to let me know, how he felt. And so he wrote me this long email. And, I think he considered it a sense of betrayal, not necessarily because I publicly made those comments, but because I chose somebody else's side, and because Skip tends to look at everything like a competition. Right. In his mind, he's thinking like, well, I was the one that, kind of helped you who you are through this platform. I put you on, I made you who you are, and how dare you choose her, over me. And that's how it came off to me. And, my thing is like, no disrespect to him, but, God made me, not Skip Bayless. This is the way it works, right? And
he can't see the difference. I need people to understand like the mentality.
Yes.
He really can't see the difference. Everything's a competition.
Right.
Every debate is a competition. Whoever he's going up against, he thinks he's won the debate. Everyone is a competition. When I started to hang out with Michael and Jemele more, it was like, you're going to have to pick a side. Because it was competition. Because they were like, started doing really well. And he was like, oh, okay, who you like more? You're just like, what?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has that if you're not for me, you're against me kind of mentality.
Right.
Which I understand. It's they often say the things that make you great, the things that really elevate you are also your biggest weakness. And so when he came at me like that, I didn't know that letter meant the end of a friendship, but apparently it did. And so, I was comfortable with my choice. Like I was good with it. So
you like me more?
I mean, obviously I do. I'm just kidding.
Skipping your wedding at one point, maybe?
Yeah, you're right. If you know what, if this hadn't happened, Skip would have been standing up.
You been your second best man?
Wow.
So just and not only that, at a basic level, I think this is the part he nor others who have weighed in on their opinions need to understand is that Black women, as Cari alluded to, don't often get that kind of support publicly or privately. Most times, neither. And Skip Bayless is going to have his sea of supporters. He's got a legion of fans that love him. There's a legion of fans that love that show. The person in that equation who didn't have support was Cari. It was her.
Nobody. But and we say this is probably out of what you're talking about. I know we have to go soon. Jemele found herself when she did this when she was in favor. People loved her, and they still do, but she could get it. She could have went on TV and said, "Kiss my ass" at that time. And love would have been just funny, and everyone was and then when she didn't have any support, it'll turn on a dime.
It will.
Never seen anything like it. And everyone just left her out there to twist in the wind. So I in turn, not because I felt obligated, because I knew morally, I was like, wait, this is the same person y'all say y'all ride with, but nobody got her back. Nobody can verbally express what's happening to her isn't fair. And so I'll bring it full circle. What you're going to find in this show, and what we hope that we start a trend of, is seeing more visual, genuine support. Everybody can tweet for you and say, go for it, but shit talk you behind your back. But we genuinely hope people see a relationship that where two women who live in the same world can eat different meals and still get full. Right then and there. And
you did. You did. I like that. Any last minute comments just on the idea of the politics that we're in right now? Like I said, a lot of people have a lot to say about Kamala and Joe Biden. Do we have time to have that conversation, or do we just need to be one voice in accordance to get the agenda that we need done in November?
So I think the question you asked before kind of alludes to this, because you were saying, is there room for criticism, right? And holding people accountable. And unfortunately, in today's world, you asking questions, you trying to hold people accountable is considered canceling folks. It's like, ain't nobody canceling you. We just asked a question. That's it. Or just brought something up. I think that it's okay to want more answers, and to be really judicious about figuring out what the platform of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, what that looks like. It's okay for us to ask questions. However, that said, we in the end game now. And one thing I would say about conservatives is that even if it's dumb shit, when they get their guy, they fall in line.
They in line.
Like straight up. They're like, you know what? All that bickering. Yeah, you might have said this about my mama during the debates, but the debates are over and we pick the person and we need to fall in line.
Right.
And so I think we can do that and ask critical questions at the same time. What we can't do is we cannot send this message that we're not going to vote. We cannot do that. And we cannot go out of our way to discourage people and encourage them to feel apathetic. Now is not the time. Because, the way that this is a numbers game, and it's really simple. Donald Trump is counting on two things. He's counting on keeping enough of us home, and he's counting on, mostly through distortions and falsehoods and telling things out of context, raising his level of support minimally in our community. Because he's gone after a very specific target. He is targeting Black men to go after their support. So they're going to hear a lot about the First Step Act and what he did in the criminal justice system, which, trust me when I tell you, it ain't what it seems, all right? There's going to be a lot of attacks on Kamala Harris and her record as a DA and also as Attorney General. These are purposeful things because he wants Black men to stay home or he wants enough of y'all to think that she's the enemy and she's a coward to not vote for her. So people need to understand what the strategy is, and they cannot fall. This is not the time to fall for the dumb shit. We did it before with Hillary. One line she said 20 years ago became the whole reason we stayed home.
Yeah.
All right.
But I also feel like
turn out in 20 years.
I also feel like Hillary was a woman. I felt like
that was a big part of it too. But you combine that misogyny with the ignorance, with the apathy, and you get Donald Trump. That's how he gets it.
Going back to our earlier point, we got to support women. We got to support Black women. We really do. I don't want. Kamala is not a liability. She is actually
not the enemy.
And she will be forced to answer questions for Joe Biden about his record and what he did. Right. And if we fall for the okie doke, we'll end up in a far more worse position than we are right now.
Yes,
there's my Auntie Michelle. If you heard her the other night, I call her Auntie Michelle. She said there is no perfect candidate, and she knows that, and that just doesn't exist. Barack was the closest to it, and so we have to really understand, like Jemele said, what is the end game. Right. Writing notes, because I'm like, well, we got to have people tune in and watch. Like she mentioned Cori Bush being on our show. Cori made a really good point about that as well. Like we got a job to do, folks.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I hope that our voices for the next however long we're on television can really make a difference in how people perceive this election and understand that voting is imperative and you need to do it as if your life depends on it.
Yes. And last thing, if your vote didn't matter, they wouldn't be trying to take it from you.
So good. That's good. Thank you guys both, Cari Champion and Jemele Hill. Stick to Sports on tonight on Vice. Tell people how they can find out more about the show. Besides tuning in tonight, I think it's 10 p.m. Eastern, correct?
Yeah, 10 p.m. Eastern. Vice TV is on Twitter. It's on all the social medias and whatnot. So you'll be able to find it on Beyonce's internet. And Vice has a YouTube page.
Internet, and then she'll let you know. We're hoping Beyonce gives us a shout out tonight. So
we're definitely expecting it.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. Good luck, and we'll definitely be watching. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. And thank you guys for tuning in. Definitely check out Stick to Sports. Both of those women, like I said, are two of my sheroes. They're so sharp and just down to earth and real. I hope you guys picked up what they said about the conversation. Absolutely amazing, beautiful. Tune in. It's great to just have that type of television on so we can hear our voices under our own, regime without being, manipulated through another system. So thank you guys for joining. This has been Reality Check. Your host, Crystal Jordan, and I will see you guys next time.